For more updates, click on subscribe and click on bell button for latest notifications. Hi friends, welcome to Tech ARK IT YouTube channel. My name is Ravi. In this video session, we are going to see that how to add Linux server into Nagios monitoring. So in previous session we see that how to add Windows server into Nagios monitoring, and this is how you can see that there is a services is going to check like C drive, all this stuff. In similar way, we are going to add the Linux server into the monitoring. So here I have the Nagios server, so which is 192.168.48.200 is the IP address, and here I have the client. The client 192.168.48.142. So this one I'm going to add into the monitoring. So how we can do that? So basically you can install the NRPE agent, so which is Nagios remote plugin executor. So what it will do is that it will execute the plugins on the remote server and gather that data, and the Nagios will frame that data into the appropriate things like how it showcase like OK status, critical status, all of this. So in this the Nagios client will have the plugins, and from the Nagios server there is a plugin called check_NRPE which will connect to the remote server, which means that the client server, and execute the plugins on the server itself. So then it will gather the data like the data like the statistics from the CPU stats or the memory stats or the utilization. All of this data will be gathered and sent to the Nagios server, and it will be shown in the console. So that is how it works. So now let's install the NRPE agent. So you can simply follow the steps which is provided for Nagios XI Linux agent installation. So this method works simply fine without any issues because it has a complete script and repo configuration, package installations, and Nagios configuration, everything. So you can simply use that and install the NRPE agent here. So you can simply so these plugins and commands will be published on my GitHub repository. The tech tutorials is the GitHub repository name, where the Nagios is the repository name. You can just go there and you can use that commands. So this is the one. You just hit it and it's going to save that package. So you can see that there is a tar.dz file which is installed here, which is downloaded. Now tar-xvf, and you can provide this package name and it will extract and go to the Linux agent, and you can see that these are the scripts 0 1 2 3 4 5. So these are the 4 scripts which will execute automatically one by one and configure your Nagios agent. So you don't need to worry about it, just run the full installation script here. So do you want to continue? Say yes, but it should have the internet connectivity, otherwise it won't download the packages and install it. So it should have, if it is in a Red Hat system or the Red Hat enterprise system, so you have to have the subscription for the Red Hat, and you have to have configured some of the basic mandatory repositories for installing the packages. The Nagios also will configure the repository for Nagios and install the packages. So this is the CentOS, that's why it does not require any subscription. So it will automatically configure the repositories and install it. So let's see how it install the packages. So here it will ask you the Nagios server IP address. So you have to enter the Nagios server IP address 192.168.48.200. That's it. So now your agent installation is completed, ready to monitor. So this is how simple it is. You just run the full installation script, and which will automatically install and configure your NRPE agent for monitoring. Then now our time to go to the Linux, the Nagios server, and configure the commands and the host checks and service checks. Then monitoring will be in. So let's jump into the Nagios core server. So this is my server here. So now go to /usr local Nagios etc. So here, and go to objects, and here we have the commands.cfg file here. So we have to first of all write the commands to in order to check that how the server is reporting to us. Before that, we just go to the libx. So the libexec here. From here you just check that NRPE plugin is available here. So you can see that there is no check_NRPE plugin here. So we have to install the NRPE plugin here as well. Okay, so in order to do that, you just run this script here as well, /tmp, and get that latest NRPE, and repeat the same step. So here you no need to give that Nagios server IP address. So you just install it. So the NRPE will be installed here. So now check_NRPE is installed successfully. Now let's jump into the directory. So the Nagios directory, and libexec, and verify that do we have that check_NRPE. So here is the check_NRPE, and so this is how we can use that check_NRPE package. So now we just verify whether the host is working fine or not. So we'll just check some checks from using the remote IP server IP address. So let's use that check_NRPE -H. So I'm providing from here is the command helpline. So host IP address you have to provide here, and the command. So we just 192.168.141 or 142. Let's go here and check 142, this one. So 142, just execute it. So it is reporting here. You can see that the NRPE version 3.2.1, which is you can able to see that. You have to add this commands.cfg and go to whether we have that NRPE or not. We just verify. So we do not have any NRPE commands defined here. So we have to define that check_NRPE command here. So I'm just using, maybe I can go to the at the end of this one, and I say here commenting that Linux server checks or remote Linux server checks. So here I will write the command, define command, and command name we should use anything appropriate name, and command line, and $user1 by default is a libx path, and check_NRPE and -H, first of all the host address, And the second one, here there's no port number we should specify, so it will automatically connect to the agent and get the port number here. And what are the checks you would like to use it here? So just go to the command line help and verify and define this remaining command. So I'm just going to define the timeout as 30 seconds, so which is required, but more than 30 seconds it should not wait. So this is the command I would like to use it. So now we have defined the command, and we have to define the host. So now you just go back here and go to the Linux servers, and you could see there is one Linux servers already. So here there is a template. So what I'm going to do is that I just going to copy this template and say server 2 dot techarkit dot local dot cfg file, and here I'm just going to edit this file, and I'm just going to change it. So because this is Linux server, not Linux server, this is server 2 dot techarkit dot local, and change everything. And so I don't want to define this service here, so the services are already there, but I don't want these services to be checked, local disks, not the local services. I want the different services. So I'm just removing all of these services from here. I just define the new services. So this SSH should be fine anyway, and check underscore HTTP is not required because I may not have the HTTP there. So check underscore SSH and check underscore ping would be fine. And here the IP address, I'm just going to replace this IP address with 192.168.48.142 is the IP address. So I'm just going to use the service-techarkit, and here I'm just going to define the new service, and I just use this service.techarkit, and host name is server2.techarkit.local, so we may use here, and service underscore description. So I'm just going to use the service description is that what is the service name I would like to use, slash partition disk usage, something like this. I'm just going to define, and check underscore command. I'm just going to define the command here, check underscore NRPE, and I'm just going to call check underscore disk is the remote command, and which I'm going to call this here. The warning threshold is in a different manner, like the 10%, which means that 30, it's calculates from free to fill up space, so how much it is filling up, so in a reverse manner. So you have to use something like this, and the partition is going to be a slash. So and notifications underscore enabled equal to 0, which means that it will not send any notifications. 1 in the sense it will send the notifications. So this is the one service. In similar way, I just copy paste and do the different checks, and before that so now restart the system. Nagios service now successful, and just go to the console and refresh it, and you could able to see that new host here. So you can see the new host, and you can able to see that there are 3 services which is pending for checks. So as of now we have added few services here. You can see that one partition slash partition and ping and SSH. So we could able to monitor this. So the SSH is the SSH port number, SSH and ping, and we could able to see the disk partition is okay. So now we just go here and type df-h and see how many partitions are there. So slash boot slash home also would like to add into the monitoring, and remaining services like swap files and how many processes are running, how many users are logged in, and what is the memory utilization, and is there any service status, example like the essential services like cron d, and CPU statistics, so and the load statistics. So how we can collect these details, how we can monitor these details. So let's again go back to the Nagios etc, and here we have the Linux servers, and here we have this server 2.takearkt.local. So now we are going to define the one more service here. So example, we just copy paste this one here, and instead of slash partition we going to add slash boot partition, and here we are just going to add the boot partition here. So which means that it will actually monitor the how much free space we have. So the free space reaches to the 10%, example say that, then which is called as a warning, which means that 90% already filled up, 10% is free. So that means that in a reverse it is going to calculate. So again we are going to add the slash home here, okay, and now we are going to define this service until this part here, and the service description is going to be is that load. So the system load, I could say system load here, and the command name we are going to use it here, the check underscore NRPE and check underscore load, and here we are going to define the load in a different manner, which means that which has a 5 minutes interval and 10 minutes interval and 15 minutes interval of the load monitoring. So here for the warning I'm just going to say that the 40% of the load and 25% and 15% is the load for this. So it depends really on the how would like to define, depends on your hardware and how much hardware capacity you have. You have to keep in mind that you have to define that way. So then notifications are enabled, and close this service here, and again I'm going to define one more service, okay, and the service name is that CPU stats or CPU status, something like this, and the check command is again check underscore NRPE, and the remote command is check underscore CPU underscore stats. Here I'm just going to define the warning levels and the critical levels. The warning is 90 and critical is going to be in a 95%. So, and the notifications I'm just going to enable it. Whenever it is reaches to the warning or critical, it should send me an alert. And again I'm going to define the one more service. The name is memory utilization, okay, and check underscore command, and again we are going to use check underscore NRP, and check underscore mem is the command which we are going to use it here. And the warning level here we are going to use it that the 10% and the critical is the 15%, which means that like memory utilization which goes to 10-15%, or maybe you can also define like 90 and 95% if the memory utilization goes off, 60-70%, depends on your requirement how would like to define it here. So not only these values, so you can define your own. So okay, again I'm going to define the swap memory here, swap memory utilization, and the swap memory check command is check underscore NRPE, and check underscore swap is the command, the remote command. And the warning levels we are going to define, which is going to be again maybe 90% of it is utilized, and the critical is 95% utilized. And the check notifications enabled, and say close the service. And again I'm just going to define one more service, which is called processes, like how many processes are running on the system. If the more processes are running, then the system is going to slow down. So the procs, how many processes are running on that. So it depends on again the hardware, how much capacity you have, depend on how many processors it can run. So by default I'm just a number I'm just picking up here is that 1550 and 2050 is a critical. So if that many services are running in, that many processes are running in my system cannot handle more than that. So it depends on your hardware capacity and RAM capacity, how much you have, and CPU capacity. Then depend on the how many processes, like one process may be run, if it is an Oracle kind of stuff, one or two processes may take more of the system resources, then you have to define lesser. But if you have a small processes which runs small processes, then it depends on your environment, or it depends on the server, you have to define that. Okay, so again I'm just going to define one more, is that users logged in, or current users I can say. So how many users are currently logged in on the systems, and then how many users, it should be an alarm for us users. So here if they are directly logging to the server, so most of the times normal users won't log in directly, because most of the administrators only can log into the systems because they do some on the server. Otherwise most of the developers, they connect using the developer console or IDE, something like that, they push the code. Okay, so here I'm just defining that 5 users, if they log in continuously, which is called warning, and if they log in 10 members at the same time, which is called as an critical here. So again here, if you want to monitor any of the more services or anything, so you can also define here. So maybe I would like to define one essential service called cron status, and how the cron is running, and check underscore init underscore service. So this is the process which runs on the remote system, and here the service name is cron, and notifications are enabled again, which is going to be a closed here. Okay, so here this many got added: CPU stats, sick load, disk utilization, all of this, and save this, and systemctl reload or restart the Nagios service. Then after that, going into the console and refresh it, you could able to see that all of these services under not verified. You have to wait a few minutes, so in order to get all of this in green status. So this is how, so you can just going ahead and see that the configuration file here again. So the cat, I'm just going to call server2 dot. So this is the definition here. You can see that definition defining the host here, and here alias, in the alias details you can write so many details about the server, like where it is located, and rack details, all of this you can write it here on the alias, which will allow more detailed information here. And services, so I'm just going to define the ping service here, which is called the latency is 100 milliseconds, it is called as an 20%, and if it is reaches more than 500 milliseconds, it is called as an a 60%, something like that. So it depends again on the your network latency, how much you have, all of this, then you have to define that. And here SSH service second SSH, and slash partition details I'm going to verify, and slash boot slash home, and check memory status, the CPU status, and memory utilization, swap utilization, processes, how many processes are running on the server, and how many users are logged in, and cron d service status. So this is how you can define. There are more services you can define, you can use the more plugins to define, but currently these are the essential services, are the required services for any Linux server. So we are going to define this as a template one. Then using this template we run randomly on more servers at the same time. Then after that you can add more customized services individually for the server to server. So that's how you can add this, and let's go into the console and see how the services are coming in. So most of the services are up, you can see that disk utilization, CPU stats are okay, and you can able to see that how many processes, swap memory still is coming. So most of the services are coming up, you can see that. You can also see how many users are logged in here. Most of the times it is only one user currently. That's about it, guys. That's how you can add this services, the Linux server into Nagios monitoring using check_NRPE. So now we are again, the next topic we are going to see that how you can add the Linux servers into monitoring using the SNMP. So the simple network protocol we are going to use, and how you can use that protocol to add, which is called as an agentless monitoring. Stay tuned. Please subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos and courses.